Good morning. Welcome to Grandma's Table. Mm, some mornings you just need the bitter quiver of coffee in your face. It was not a bad night. I got a little bit of a sleep in because I have an appointment today, so I'm not headed straight into the office. This weekend was filled with activity. Friends from church and my two daughters and my granddaughter. Um, we went for a 5K walk on Saturday night for coldest night of the year. We raised funds for um, unhoused and precariously housed people. All the money, it was across Canada, but all the money raised locally stayed locally. So we were with an organization called Urban Hope. And one of the things that the lady was talking about was the fact that there is always hope. Hope is so, so important. And we offer hope because when people have lost hope, they've lost the will to proceed. I know my cousin has some experience with people who um, are unhoused or addicted and things like that. Um, and he says, as long as there's breath, there's hope, Marilyn. As long as there's breath, there's hope. And I think that's really important. How hopeful is my breath today? It's a Monday. Um, how hopeful is my breath for the things that I have going on in my life? Because I think a lot of times we do things like this and we focus on how to help those less fortunate, etc. I was talking to a friend and she's like, "Yeah, well, my story's not nearly as bad." And I'm like, "Do you think that means your story doesn't count?" And she's like, well, and she honestly thought her story was of less value because she wasn't facing the difficulties other people are facing. Well, good for you for having empathy for others even while you're struggling for yourself. But your story matters. How hopeful is your breath today? How much hope do you have for you? When you wake up and you see the news the way the news is pointing, it's not very hopeful, is it? So, where does your hope lie? Does your hope lie in your leaders? I hope not. Because no matter how good or bad a leader may be, they are human. And there's a divine out there that says, put your hope in me because I got your back. My other cousin, he rarely posts anything on social media. And the other day he posted something beautiful. And it said, so he's coming at this from a Christian perspective. And he said, um, for those of you that follow an administration that says the the stranger, the alien, the um, the person who's come from away is an infiltrator, not an immigrant. They're the enemy, not a boost to um, to our country. For those that think that and use their faith to prop up that idea, you can't. If it's true faith, you can't stop there because if you've created them as the enemy, Jesus said, love your enemy. Love your enemy. So either way, your job, if you're choosing faith to say immigrants are evil, they're our enemy, then you have to continue on with the faith and say, I will love my enemy. I will not hurt them. I will cherish them. I will help them. I will love them. And so his perspective is if you're using, because there's a dichotomy in the Christian world right now, and there's those of us that are like, no, Jesus said the way is blah blah blah, love your enemy, whatever. Or just love your neighbor. love your neighbor. And we see people who are coming in, immigrants into our communities. They're our neighbors. They're ours now to love and to care for and to help. And then there's those that are like, no, no, no. We need to use our faith to say no. These are not. And so there's a dichotomy. And my cousin was saying, no matter your perspective, your trajectory, the bottom line is love. So where there is breath, there is hope. Where there is humanity, there is love. So how loving, how hopeful is my breath today? That's our challenge. Sorry this is longer. I was just really touched by my cousins' perspectives this weekend. I adore my cousins. I love them to bits. They come at life from totally different perspectives. Isn't that beautiful? Such a beautiful thing. Because they're all part of my family. And they all have a really important place in my heart. You do too. Keep your feet on the ground, be where your feet are, and let your head be in the clouds, and know that I love you. I hardly got any coffee in. I gotta drink it now while it's still hot. Bye.